But, I always put Oscar Robertson out there and Wilt Chamberlain and Bill
Kareem.
Russell, the guys who came before me. Kareem's in the list. He's on the second team. But if I was starting a franchise, I would start with Kareem. And the Michael LeBron argument, I don't want to really try to settle that for anybody else, I don't really think it should be settled until LeBron's career is over. He's done all and everything that anybody has ever done in the history of the league. And so did Michael. And Michael did it probably at, if this is fathomable, a higher level, because, he never lost in the finals and he was finals MVP 6 out of 6 times. So the bar is pretty high, but LeBron is still playing.
So, but Julius.
So did I avoid that question?
No, you did very well. But the point is, LeBron has now fallen to 3-5 in NBA Finals. So do you still give him a shot to catch and pass Michael, just in the big picture, just in total achievement?
Well, what you guys are missing, and Shannon probably knows it better than anybody else, is the game is a team sport. So individuals don't win championships, teams win championships, and you're only as good as the team can take you. You can only go as far as the team can take you. So 3-5 doesn't mean anything. I'm more impressed with 8 finals than I am with the record in the finals.
I'm with
you,
Doc.
If he was 0 for 8 in finals, that would still be an amazing achievement. That's like going to 8 Super Bowls.
Strip away the noise. Strip away the timelines, the nostalgia wars, the Twitter threads. Start where Dr. J starts, with standards, not feelings. Basketball is a team sport. You don't hang a franchise's finals record around one man's neck like a chain. That's lazy analysis. But when you zoom in on the absolute peak, when the lights are blinding, when the oxygen feels thin, when one possession decides everything, that's where the real conversation lives. And you respect time. You don't close the book on a legend still adding chapters. Through those lenses, team context, absolute peak, timeline respect, his answer keeps landing in the same place. Michael Jordan. And that framing matters. Dr. J isn't emotional about this. He's surgical. When he's asked who he'd build a franchise from the ground up around, he once said he'd start with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the 7-foot pillar who carried eras through coaching changes, roster flips, and strategic revolutions. That's foundation talk. But when the Jordan versus LeBron debate surfaces, he won't rush judgment while LeBron is still active. Longevity needs room to breathe. Yet the second the question shifts from foundation to summit, from who stabilizes a franchise to who touches the highest possible ceiling, the margin gets brutal. Jordan never lost in the finals. 6 trips, 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs. That's not mythology. That's performance under maximum pressure. And before you try to weaponize finals losses, slow down. Reaching the finals is organizational alignment, front office, coaching, health, depth, timing. It's never one man dragging 14 others across the finish line. By that logic, LeBron's decade-plus run to the finals is one of the most resilient stretches this league has ever seen. He bent defenses, dictated tempo, reshaped rosters in real time. That deserves respect. But Dr. J's GOAT question isn't who visited the mountaintop the most. It's who stood there every single time and never slipped. That's a different standard. And that answer, he says, is on the film. 1993 against Phoenix, 40 a night in the finals. Then, in the biggest moment, trusting the system and swinging to John Paxson for the dagger. That's control. 1997 in Salt Lake City, altitude, exhaustion, 38 points, including the go-ahead 3 in the final seconds. That's will. 1998, reading Karl Malone's post-entry like he'd seen it 1,000 times, ripping it clean, walking it down, crossover, rise, release, 5.2 seconds left. Dynasty sealed. These aren't bedtime stories. These are case studies in inevitability. If you're still watching, hit like, because this is where the debate gets uncomfortable. Why did those moments keep landing in his hands? Because Jordan engineered inevitability. From triple threat, he dissected defenders with tiny jabs, shoulder feints, footwork that shifted your balance before you realized it was gone. In the post, the fadeaway wasn't just a tough shot, it was geometry. Read the hips. Tilt the weight. Carve the angle. Your contest didn't matter because you were already late. And inside the triangle, he didn't force chaos. The system applied pressure, and he attacked the weak seam. Elbow, nail, deep post. Plant. Rise. Finish. Soon defenders weren't guarding the action. They were guarding the fear of what might happen. That's when he drove. That's when he buried the mid-range. That's when June felt inevitable. And don't ignore the other side of the floor. Jordan wasn't playing defense to check a box. Defensive Player of the Year in 1988. 9 all-defensive first-team selections. Guards don't collect those by accident. But the real weapon wasn't the awards, it was anticipation. That 1998 steal on Malone? That wasn't reflex. That was study. Knowing the shoulder he preferred. Knowing where the weak side guard drifted. Knowing when that lead foot hit the floor. The swipe was instant. The transition to offense had zero hesitation. That's what Dr. J means by absolute peak, one player dictating both ends when everything is on the line. Zoom out to the system level, and it gets scarier. The 1995-96 Chicago Bulls went 72-10. First in offense. First in defense. That's not just dominance, that's structural superiority. That's an ecosystem optimized around a summit-level force. Jordan's peak didn't just shine. It elevated everything around it. For someone who values structural greatness, that's rare air. Beauty that also carries weight. Now, let's be fair, because being fair strengthens the argument. LeBron's longevity is unprecedented. 10 finals appearances. 4 rings. The 2016 comeback from 3-1 against a 73-win machine, capped by that block, one of the greatest defensive plays ever. That's immortal. He's the all-time scoring leader. A point-forward genius. A player who can morph from primary playmaker to small ball center, depending on the matchup. He adapted as the league evolved every few seasons. That's sustained dominance at a level we've never seen. But here's the line Dr. J draws, and this is where people get heated. GOAT isn't a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's a verdict delivered at the edge of everything. Last possession, last game, last series. And in that space, Jordan's record is untouched. 6 finals, 6 rings, 6 times undeniably the best player on the floor. You can debate eras, teammates, spacing. Go ahead, flood the comments, but that finals line is clean. And context matters. The late 80s and 90s weren't a layup line. Hand-checking, bodies colliding. Driving to the rim meant asking yourself, are you sure? Jordan averaged 30-plus through that. 35, 37. He didn't just survive that climate, he dominated it. And if you believe wider spacing and modern rules make scoring easier, then logically, a player with Jordan's footwork and timing only becomes more surgical, not less. Give a surgeon a sharper blade, not a dull one. That's not nostalgia. That's projection based on skill set. Dr. J also understands culture. He came up when artistry had to produce results. When flair without winning meant nothing. In that language, Jordan didn't just win. He authored the final 2 minutes of a basketball game. Flu game. Last shot. Those aren't highlights. They're vocabulary. They define how greatness is remembered. So here's the real question for you. Is the GOAT about duration, or is it about the moment when everything collapses into one possession and one man decides the ending? Because depending on how you answer that, you already know where you stand. And trust me, this debate isn't cooling off anytime soon. And Jordan didn't just win titles. He wrote chapters the league still quotes like scripture. That's another layer to why Dr. J plants his flag where he does. His skepticism towards star-built super teams isn't about hating player empowerment. It's about how he defines peak. He values gravitational force, the kind of singular presence that bends an entire organization without needing perfect conditions. LeBron is one of the greatest teammate elevators ever. That's undeniable. But Dr. J is tuned to a different frequency. He's asking about apex power, the kind that ignites a system even when the structure isn't flawless. That's how he can revere Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the ultimate foundation, respect LeBron's historic longevity, and still say the highest solo peak the sport has ever seen belongs to Michael Jordan. The easy rebuttal is volume. LeBron's been to more finals. Doesn't that matter more? Dr. J would tell you yes and no. Yes, because surviving the modern salary cap era, cross-country travel, and constant roster turnover to keep returning to June is brutally hard. But also no, because teams reach the finals, individuals define legacies there. The throne isn't about how many pilgrimages you make. It's about what happens when you arrive. Do you stumble? Or do you stay? Jordan stayed. Every single time. 6 for 6. 6 finals MVPs. and a catalog of closing moments that players still study like they're cramming for a final exam. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. That's the point. Then there's the psychology of the fourth quarter, the part nobody can fully measure. The aura. Jordan didn't just score late. He distorted the environment. The slow dribble. The locked-in stare. That half-second pause before he rose up. The entire arena felt what was coming. Defenders didn't always fail because of mechanics. They failed because doubt crept in. LeBron leads differently. He's a conductor. He orchestrates 5 men into rhythm. Jordan was the soloist who didn't need accompaniment when the clock and the moment collided. One voice, one decision, one ending. Tell me in the comments, which leadership style do you trust more when everything's on the line? And let's kill the myth that Jordan's finals resume was built on soft competition. He closed out the 62-win Suns, the 64-win Supersonics, the 64 and 62-win Jazz teams. Even the early 90s Blazers and Lakers were legit heavyweights. His peak didn't feast on weak brackets. It dismantled 60-win giants. That matters. Context matters. Pressure matters. And because peak is also about trust, remember this, Jordan passed when it was the right kill shot. John Paxson in '93. Years later, Steve Kerr. Eye contact before the play even unfolded. Be ready. That's not fear. That's command. Apex dominance that knows when to strike and when to delegate. Because forced hero ball when the read says otherwise? That's how dynasties crumble. If you want the numbers to sit next to the film, they're there. 6 finals MVPs unmatched. An avalanche of 30-plus point playoff series at his apex. The engine behind a 72-win team that ranked first in offense and first in defense. A decade stamped with sustained supremacy where most legends show dips and detours. You don't need a spreadsheet war. Just enough data to confirm what your eyes already saw. So where does that leave LeBron inside Dr. J's framework? Exactly where fairness demands. A generational marathoner. A prime that outlived entire franchise rebuilds. The league's all-time scoring leader. A tactical shapeshifter who could be a point guard one series and a center the next. And that 2016 comeback from 3-1 against a 73-win juggernaut, sealed with a block, is forever carved into NBA history. If the debate were greatest total career, the LeBron case is massive. You could argue it for hours. But that's not the lens being used here. Dr. J's lens is colder, narrower. It asks one ruthless question. When June hands you the final page, what you write? If you want the ultimate test, the one that splits barbershops and timelines every time, here it is. Game 7. Tie score. 10 seconds left. One shot decides the season. Whose hands are you trusting? Not for a good possession. Not for the right basketball play. For the shot history won't edit. Sit with that. Don't answer fast. Because when you run Dr. J's criteria all the way through, team context respected, timeline respected, then isolate the absolute peak. The film, the numbers, the footwork, the opponents, the psychology, the culture all point in one direction. For 3 decades, his finger hasn't moved from that summit. And whether you agree or not, you know exactly which name is carved at the top.